We all know that generative AI is changing everything at a rapid pace. But have you ever stopped to think through the implications of that? Take your website, for example. What was a perfectly good site optimized for Google just a few years back is now not good enough for the age of AI. My special guest today is on the front line helping MSPs with their sites. We're going to talk about the new paradigm for websites and look at how it's affecting you right now.
I'm Matt Dorman. I'm one of two owners of Endeavor. We're a technical services agency out of the US.
And thank you so much for joining me on the podcast, Matt, because I want to talk about websites. It seems to me like marketing is changing and evolving at the most rapid pace ever. And it'd be interesting to see if you have the same experience, because obviously we both spend all of our working lives helping people with their marketing and getting better results from their marketing. But with AI and technical things that are happening and just consumer and B2B demands, marketing seems to be changing at a really rapid pace right now. So that's what I want to delve into today, but particularly based around MSPs' websites, because I still believe that your website is your number one marketing weapon, even with all of these other weapons that you've got. Ultimately, everybody looks at your website and makes an emotional decision whether or not you're worth speaking to based on the content of your website. So that's something I'd like to look at today. Let's first of all just delve into you and your background. So what got you into this business in the first place?
Yeah, the actual business, it was a little while ago, but the technical side of building out websites, like you said, I mean, that's one way of putting what we do, build digital infrastructure for any kind of site. About 10 years ago, we're actually coming close to next week or week after we come up with our 10-year anniversary of our company. My partner and I, we actually worked at a firm before this together. She and I we're kind of done with what we thought we were going to do. We were going to do some independent work on our own. And one thing led to another, and we started doing some projects together right away. And we decided we wanted to form a company together. We've been working, again, in the digital media space. Prior to that, I've been doing it almost 30 years now. So quite a while. It's hard to say when it became we're going to do that as a company versus we were just going to do some independent freelance stuff.
No, that's cool. That's really cool. Well, you've clearly seen, even just over 10 years, you've clearly seen a massive amount of change. And I remember in the year 2000, or maybe even 1999, learning we used to have it here in the UK, we used to have these things called night schools, which was, as it sounds, it was like a college you could go to in the evening. And It was all subsidized by the government until they shut it all down a few years later. But I remember going to night school for Microsoft Front Page. And it was the first time I'd ever been able to actually do HTML and build a website. And I remember I was just blown away by the opportunity that was facing me. And I kind of wish I could go back 25 years and speak to 25-year-old Paul and say, go build websites, help people figure out online marketing years before it becomes really, really important. But even in the last 10, 15 years or so that you've been working with the internet and with websites, what are the kind of the big shifts that you've seen that are really starting to hurt people with their marketing today?
Yeah, I think, the elephant in the room, whatever, AI, right? The last 9 months to a year have been a complete shift in how to build websites, how and why to build the websites, what's your actual audience. I think that's, it's not completely changed because we still have Google. We still have people going to Google and looking up search results, but within days to months, that's now drastically changing, where you're now having to really entice their AI or whatever AI a person's using to interact with finding things. You're now having to get into those results. And I was reading some articles actually today around specifically around digital media publishers. So people that write articles, news articles and things like that. For years, it was all about page views, all about that, getting people to click through the site. That's now turned on its head because you're now brand recognition inside of a chatbot, essentially, of some kind, and people are getting their content there. I wish I had the answer. I think there's some ways of getting into there, but I don't yet, like, because it's constantly changing. We're constantly changing how we're using them also.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even you and I are doing this interview at the beginning of June 2025. It's not broadcast for a few months, but even in those couple of months before it's broadcast, that ChatGPT could release another iteration. There could be another amazing AI tool. Every day, there's hundreds of new tools being released, and I think the AI. Generative AI revolution that we're seeing around us is certainly changing things. Right. I have friends in their 40s, their 30s and 40s who say they use ChatGPT more than Google these days because it'll do the research, it'll do the recommendations, and they're happy with the hallucinations. They can cope with it getting it wrong sometimes, which is kind of terrifying. So from a marketing agency's point of view, and looking at this of how MSPs can improve their websites. We know that most MSPs don't do a great deal of work on their website. So you're saying the work they should be doing should be based more around building up that brand equity now.
Yeah, but also so we were building out blog posts for all about SEO, right? SEO, like keywords, and injecting as much content as possible around your audience. What we're finding now is around kind of the question and answer. Like having the content actually focused around answering questions versus having a lot of content now. That's a different way of writing and a different way of creating the content on the website, and structuring it also in a way that actually can be pulled in, because people, like you said, people are asking questions to the ChatGPTs and others, and then getting its research, and it's telling them, based on looking at websites still a crawler, what they're telling it to tell the people. So if you can get your answers inside of your content, it'll eventually show up to them. I think the hard thing is then measuring the initial KPI of because you don't have a page view anymore right away. You have an answer, and they might have brand recognition about you, but you have no indication that it was actually coming there yet, unless they click through or go to your phone call or go to your site to submit a contact.
Yeah, exactly. Just recently I read Endless Customers by Marcus Sheridan, which I'm sure you've come across, or maybe his previous book, They Ask You Answer. And Endless Customers absolutely nails that. You give the answers and you put them on your website, and you make it easy for the AI to find them for exactly that reason. And I think that's an instant and easy, quick win for any MSP to do. So obviously you and I have no idea where this is going to go, but we can see a shift in human behaviors. It's just occurred to me, it's almost like Google has forced us over the last 25 years to search in a specific way, in that we've always had the questions, haven't we? We've always had the question of which MSP should I hire, but we knew that the search engine wouldn't answer that for us. So we just search for IT support near me or IT support city or something like that. Do you think, and again, just asking you, crystal ball, make it up kind of answer. Do you think in the next 25 years, we're going to go a much more down the route of going back to natural behaviors, of just saying, to maybe to an agentic AI that will go and actually do searching for us, or go and research a contract and have conversations with salespeople and do all of that for us, which is not unfeasible over the next 25 years. Do you think that's the direction we're going to go, or do you think it's going to be something a bit different?
Yeah, I think a year ago, I would have said, yeah, sure, 10, 15 years from now. I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's months away now. I've gone in the past few weeks to looking at, we use them as tools, and we're typing things in, and now I pulled in, I think it's called Whisper Flow, and I type a key, I press a key, and I just talk. And I'm now having to have a conversation with a screen essentially, but it's getting me to rethink, because when I type, I feel like I typed in a way that you're talking about, like typing to Google. I need this answer. This is how I'm supposed to type it. But when I'm talking, I'm having a conversation all of a sudden. Already. And I'm 47 years old. I'm not adopting as quick as my sons and things like that. But I feel like now I'm having to, because it's so much easier for some reason. And that's just been weeks or months.
Yeah, but as much as this pays, I'm 50, so I'm feeling your pain. And my 14-year-old recently did some revision for her exams by taking photos of the textbooks, putting them into ChatGPT, and asking it to do the revision summary, which is so smart, right? It's not lazy. That's actually a smart thing to do. And if she's doing that at 14, what's she going to be doing at our kind of age? I'm actually quite excited by this. It is a lot of change. It is happening really quickly. But the reason I'm excited is because it creates opportunities where anything changes really rapidly. I believe that creates huge opportunities. And my final question for you, Matt, is what kind of opportunities do you see for MSPs to keep up with these changes in marketing and to actually iterate their own marketing to take advantage of it?
Yeah, I think one opportunity is like if you get the audience to come to your website, having more integration with, I mean, even as simple as now, what used to be a chat bot is now a fully integrated bot onto your site, and it'll actually give them those same answers that you were kind of trying to ingest into it, because they don't want to click through, or people are less likely to want to click around, just like where the search box was kind of there, and some people, advanced users, would use it to find articles or find content on your site. It never really worked well. So if you can implement a good bot that's actually pulling your content in and actually keeping them engaged in your answers, that's definitely one way. I think, limiting that time period to getting to a person, if depending on the type of site you are, is still important. So if it can come up with that goal, that would be the biggest thing. I'm big on like having just the actual information that the user wants and not a bunch of fluff, but I feel like some of that fluff is still needed for the new bots to crawl through.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it will come out in the wash over the next 2-3 years. And, just as back in the day, as SEO was changing year by year, month by month, and people ended up going off in a certain direction, I'm sure it will be exactly the same with generative AI. Or it will all change so quickly that we're all constantly playing catch up. I suspect that may be a part of it as well. Yeah. So thank you so much for your time, Matt. Tell us a little bit more about your business and what you do to help MSPs with their websites.
Yeah, so we handle all the technical implementations for whether it's third-party applications like your CRM, your Salesforce, or things like that. We do build websites. It's becoming a smaller portion of what we do anymore because it's so automated, essentially. We can help with SEO or AI engine optimization. We do have tools for that. We have, obviously, other people have tools, but really integrating those tools into your processes. So whether it's building out systems that have integrating with your content management system, or just giving you kind of overall what's going on. We're based out of the US, but we do work globally. So again, I'm with Endeavor. If you look us up on the web, it's spelled a little bit differently, especially if you're UK or US. The Endeavor word we spell really short, so NDEVR.io is the way you find us. And Matt Dorman on LinkedIn. Reach out if you have questions. Happy to make a connection. I don't block my connections for sure.
Paul Green's MSP Marketing Edge.